Andrew Tate. Piers Morgan called Andrew Tate out on his rhetoric about the rioting that is happening right now in the UK. Let's take a listen.
Nigel Farage has literally just chucked you under a monumental bus. He's gone on LBC radio and he said the reason that he himself was promoting complete nonsense about the person who committed these heinous crimes was because of people like you. Andrew Tate, he names you. He says that you were responsible for spinning disinformation, which he was dumb enough to believe.
Well, I never said he was a Muslim. I never said he was a Syrian. I never said he was on the MI6 watch list. The only thing I could have got incorrect is that he was an undocumented migrant. And if Nigel Farage has done that, that's his decision. He'll have to live with his conscience. I'm not here to tell him how to think. I'm also man enough to be understanding that not everybody has to like me all of the time for me to agree with some of the things they say. The biggest problem we have in the world today is everybody's so emotional. Everybody's so upset all the time that if somebody says something bad about them, they pretend that person's completely bad. Nobody is completely bad. Nobody is completely evil. Everybody loves their children. Everybody wants to live in peace. A lot of people talk about the idea of war, but let me promise you, Piers, I'm a person who's had a very varied life. When you see people with machetes outside your door threatening you and the police aren't answering the phone anymore, you don't want war. The Muslims want peace. The white natives of the UK, the Christians want peace. Everybody wants peace. But when you have a political class which refuse to listen to absolutely anybody, do whatever they want, grind everyone into poverty irregardless, then you're going to have some sort of uprising. And it's unfortunate that the poor people, and I call them poor, I mean the average person, is turning on the average person as opposed to turning on the rich elites who are just plundering the country. That's the truth of what's happening here.
Well, what is...
You watched my video. We played it. Yeah, the only thing I had incorrect was that he was undocumented. That's the only thing you could perhaps say he was incorrect. The London stabbing, Piers. The London bridge attack, he was born in Pakistan. We want to sit here and talk about how a large contingent of the people committing terror attacks in the UK and the most heinous crimes are not natively English people. And when we need to sit here and address this without being called racist, without being called far right, I'm a mixed race Muslim and I'm pointing out this very obvious truth. If we're not going to be able to point out the truth, what do you expect besides anger?
Well, I mean,
okay, so that's the news to me. I am a Muslim. Don't accuse me of being a racist. Really? I mean, I have never heard him saying I'm a Muslim for a very long time. I know that he's a Muslim, but rarely practices anything about Islam. But again, okay, give him the credit, benefit of the doubt. He's a Muslim. But why now? Why now you are shouting on camera saying over and over again, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Muslim. All of a sudden you become Muslim? Like, really? Like, how is this happening? And he will repeat this same thing many, many times. This is very, very repetitive and very, very manipulative of Andrew Tate when he is making such a statement, when he's trying to defend himself from all of these accusations that he's getting. He is using and hiding behind his Islamic identity all of a sudden. I find this to be very, very strange.
The sheer brass neck, frankly, Andrew, of you lecturing me about the truth when you've spent the last week spewing complete fake news bullshit is breathtaking, right? And also, I would say you've also been spewing stuff that is blatantly racist. On the 1st of August, you posted a cartoon saying typical man from Cardiff. Let's look at that cartoon. This has had 11 million views.
Yeah, it's a taxpayer. It's a migrant arriving on the boat with taxpayers' money, and I think a lot of people are upset about that. I want to make something clear because I'm a Muslim myself.
Well, when you say typical man from Cardiff, when you say typical, hang on, when you say typical man from Cardiff, you are again telling people that in your estimation, the person that committed this came in as an illegal migrant on a boat. That is not true. None of that is true.
Well, what I'm actually doing, Piers, because you may not be aware of this because you're part of the legacy media machine, which is why you defended Israel so heavily.
I'm on YouTube.
You're not allowed to have your own opinion.
I'm on YouTube.
You're not allowed.
On legacy media.
You're part of the
My
legacy
show
media
is on
machine,
YouTube.
and you're not allowed to have your own opinion. But let me explain something
Every
to you,
word
Piers.
of this will go up, as you know.
Perfect. I understand exactly how the media machine works. The fact that they kept highlighting that he's from Cardiff and showing pictures of him as a child, as opposed to showing pictures of him as the large, barbaric man he was, which stabbed those little girls, was a deliberate PR spin by the propaganda arm of the British government to try and subvert and subdue the UK populace because they knew everybody would be outraged by what they saw. That's why every picture of him is he's a kid.
Honestly,
they keep saying he's from Cardiff. This was set up on purpose. Now, the point I was making is as follows.
He was literally born in Cardiff. The
Do you
Matrix
think that makes
didn't
him Welsh?
pretend he was born in Cardiff. You've been posting cartoons of people coming in illegally, armed on little boats, because you want people to think that the person that did this was that person. But he wasn't.
Okay, so just to say a few things here. If there was no rioting in UK, Andrew Tate would have maintained his position on those cartoons and those remarks he made about those cartoons, and he would never come out and say, number one, I'm a Muslim, number two, I'm not a racist. Therefore, this is absolutely a disaster for him, a PR disaster. I mean, I used to listen to his speech. I used to be getting sometimes inspired even of what he would say about, men's right, women's right, and all of those things. But now I think he's becoming a big joke. He's becoming a big joke. His words, they have no weight whatsoever.
You cut out there, Piers. I think I understood you. I'm a Muslim myself, so there's no reason why I want any kind of violence
Again,
against
Muslim myself.
Muslims. That's the first thing that's very clear. And I want to make something else very clear. I'm actually in a quite unique scenario as a Muslim revert, half black, half white. I've had both sides of this dichotomy try and
Really?
recruit me, perhaps. I can't be taught to hate anybody. There's no Muslim alive who can teach me to hate anybody, and there's no white man alive who can teach me to hate anybody. There's no hate in my heart, there's only love. But when you have love, you have protectiveness. And you have to feel a protectiveness for the things you care about. And that's what I think a lot of people don't understand. We call people hateful all the time for having a point of view, especially when they get out on the street because they feel like they need to express it. A lot of these people were not hateful. A lot of these people were full of love, and they were full of concern.
You've literally encouraged people to feel hateful. You've encouraged people to feel hateful because you've encouraged people to believe the person that did this crime, this alleged person that did it, because it's going to court, we have to let the process do its due process. But the person who's been charged with the crimes of killing these poor girls is not an illegal migrant. But you wanted to demonize illegal migrants by what you've been doing in the last week. You wanted people to believe this was one of the people who come over on a boat illegally into this country, part of the so-called invasion. And here's the interesting thing about your position with regard to your conversion to Islam and becoming a Muslim. Muslims, as you know, have been ranting about you for the last few days and utterly betraying them because you've decided to associate yourself with Tommy Robinson, who is a far-right thug, who has been spewing utter horrible Islamophobic anti-Muslim rhetoric all week, and yet you have not distanced yourself from him. So the Muslim community in the UK now view you as part of the enemy too. You know that. How do you feel about that?
Well, I can tell you how I feel about this. I'm betrayed. I feel I am betrayed by him. He used to be a good guy. He used to talk good things and things that are right and just. But these days, I mean, every time he opens his mouth, I'm like, yeah, shut it up already. Like this guy, Andrew Tate, he's done. His real color, his true color has been exposed. And to be honest with you, do not listen to him, especially when you are going through such a crisis situation in the UK. Do not take his word, not at all. This guy is just spitting his narratives, he's spinning new stories, just the way he thinks it will fit his interest and make him even more popular. This guy is dangerous to the society. Andrew Tate, he really needs to shut his mouth and perhaps go away somewhere in Romania and never come back. Thank you guys for watching.